Built market.
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. Now we are joined by Neil, Righteous Force, 10th Man, Brian's Logic, Adam, and a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome one and all.
Morning. Well,
Dancing in the moonlight.
Good morning, good morning.
We've got a video to react to today. Been shooting the breeze in the pre-show.
Well,
yeah,
yeah, Prototad did a response video to, this needs a little summary, I guess. Divergent Droid and Prototad were going back and forth, and Prototad was saying things about celestial navigation, and Divergent finally said, either put up or shut up, and then contacted me. And I said, well, if he's challenging me, he's really challenging my research in celestial navigation books and what I've read and what I've shown. So he needs to debunk that. So he put out a video to address that. Let me go post it for you.
I'm not going to do that. No.
And,
No. Prototad can join the show. Right, there's a level that we have attained here.
okay.
And below that level, you can join us. Or if you feel that you're in the same pond but above us, if you choose to lord it over us from your higher, more subscribed channel, then fair enough, you can do a reaction to us. You know, you can take our shit like Simon Dunn does and do your reaction videos, fine. But as for us dealing with the peasants below us by reacting to their videos so they don't have to come in here, no, we'll be picking and choosing the ones as opposed to doing the reaction to some tosser that could just join and discuss it with us. No, I'm not going to be responding to his video. If we're going to be semi-proactive, because we're reactive in terms of how we're dealing with the videos, but we're proactively seeking them, well, then we're going to be seeking out much, much, much bigger fish. You know, that NASA shill yesterday, wah, perfect. Neil deGrasse Tyson, wah, perfect. Prof. Cox, excellent. That's the ones that we'll be doing. I'm not going to do reaction videos to Ruhif unless it's very much specifically, you know, on points that we want to be covering. Celestial navigation, no offense, is, you know, an old subject that we've now been covering for a considerable amount of time and is nuanced to the point where, you know, if we've got somebody slagging us off about it, we'll defend ourselves, but reacting to some scuzzball, Prototad can join.
well,
All right. Well, let me at least summarize what he did. He strawmanned everything that I said. I had put up references from Harold Jacobi in the book Navigation, where he says you need a right angle and two lines, one at the horizon, one at the star. And he says, well, look, the rest of the book shows a globe, and he's a glober. Well, I've always said that. I have never said that the books I bought teach flat Earth. No, it's all globe related, but within those books, they have to use instruments for measurements. And that's where I brought up the sextant chapter 6 of Harold Jacoby's book. So he strawmans saying that I cherry pick everything when I've already admitted that every book I bought shows pictures of globes, dingleberries, rotation. They all talk about it because that's the reverse engineering they've done with the stars to show that you're doing it from a globe. But in reality, when you peek into the book and say, well, what is actually being done? Well, you need a sextant. Well, what's that? And I made only 2 claims. Everyone knows this. I keep saying it just because I knew I had to from the beginning. Sextant is an angle measuring device, and they all agree with that. And an angle is 2 straight lines meeting at a common point called the vertex. And so now you got to show how that can work off of a curved surface. And since it can't, it's not being done that way. And that's what I pointed out. Then he went to that article from Yachting World where the guy says you need a right angle triangle. And then he went and found another story from a guy saying, well, I was wrong out of simplification, kind of like that one with tablet class where he had to go in there and change his right angle because they bothered him. So everyone's changing their story, but drawing right angle triangles and subtracting from 90. This is the funniest thing I've ever seen. So in summary, because I'm sick, I'll just keep it short. I'll let Brian talk if he wants. He strawmans everything. But then he puts something down that he says you have to measure it the way and show it the way you measured it. Well, that's what we want. We want you to show it the way you measured it off of a curved surface. When you show me a sextant, can work with a curved baseline, then we can talk. That's all I got to say.
Well, what I would say about it is that if you read what the guy from the yachting world, his correction on him using basically a box, right, which is 2 right angles, a right angle at his position and a right angle at the GP point of the celestial body. His correction for that was that even though 2 right angles do this thing, that's actually incorrect, and they don't. That's what he said. There's actually a curve between those 2 points. It was actually so pathetic. Now, I don't know if Ken says it is legit. I thought that Proto maybe had just made it up, this bit of an article from this guy, but supposedly this guy changed his story. It's so pathetic. They actually, in reality,
I don't know. I don't know if it's Brian.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's legit, but he said the guy did it, so let's take it on value. Then you read it, and I read it, and he's making more of a mistake.
Well,
I'm sorry.
Okay, I just want to appeal to
measure
my.
it from.
Sorry to interrupt this discussion. Right, I just want to appeal to my chat. This back and forth is with a non-existent party that could very easily join, right? And I want the chat to just affirm what I've already said, if it's not the case, or maybe I'll give it as a choice, right?
Yeah, screw that guy.
No, screw that guy, right? When it comes to guys like that, they're obliged to join, as far as I'm concerned, because we could be, rather than responding to his comments and such, we could be dealing with someone like Neil deGrasse Tyson responding to a video by them, right? Now, personally, I like what we've done. At first, I was, fine, I'll do it if you think it'll be good, and the reaction from the audience was good. The numbers didn't necessarily increase, but I like doing it, and I think it's very, very valuable, because we're proactively reacting to claims against us and claims for the globe from prominent figures. And we're the best people to be doing that, as far as I'm concerned. We can take apart every little nuance of every little aspect of every little claim that comes from the heliocentric side, from the priesthood. Tyson, Cox, this NASA, Shirley yesterday. We can do that. We're the best people to do that. Now, I believe that the reason these tossers exist, like Protothad, is just to keep us tied up doing stupid shit, responding to our responses on their responses to their claims. It's like that sort of subtle, nuanced argument about something we've been covering for a year. If that type of person wants us to be covering that, they better damn well get in and put their argument to us. not expect us to disseminate their argument for them or play their argument for them from a video to respond to it and pause it. No, get in here, Protothad. If you want us to do your stuff, then you can get in and we'll discuss it with you. We'll listen to your claims, and then we'll hand you your own ass and have you tell us how we can do that with a flat plane and such, like when you've come before. But no, I'm not going to do those response videos, that sort of response. I'm not knocking what you've done, and I've even put up the messages back and forth between him and Divergent Droid, along with a couple of the diagrams as you were talking about them. But, beyond that, I think the audience will agree with me that they'd prefer that we were ripping Tyson a new one. Maybe I'm wrong. So type 1 if you'd like to see us pulling apart the Ruhifs and the Protothads and the Rumpuses and the stuff that we've already dispensed with years ago. If we should be going to their videos and reacting to them now that they've all buggered off having been defeated. Or, so that's type 1 if you'd like us to respond to the... I was going to say George Netter, but he's dead, right? Those types of people. Or would you prefer type 2 if you'd prefer us to see us covering the Neil deGrasse Tysons and the Brian Cox and the Michio Kakus and the mainstream Helios?
Celebrities. The celebrities.
The nobodies and the somebodies. Say it, the nobodies or the somebodies.
Type 1 for the nobodies, the anti-flat earthers. Or type 1 for the 2 for the somebodies, the Tysons and the Coxes and the
Two.
I'm going for 2, but I still want to make mention of Fight the Flat Earth. This is my 3rd attempt now of trying to quote this during the show. Last time you literally dropped the second I was going to talk about that yesterday. But did you catch what he was saying, Nathan?
No.
In
I'm not a subscriber.
Refracted Philosophy show.
No, I'm sorry.
He said you couldn't have... Sorry?
I was just saying, no, shut up.
Anyway. Right. So what he said during that show, he was on there with the Flat Earth guys on Refracted Philosophy, and he kept going and going and going. And he went full on crazy with it. And he ended up saying you couldn't have a refracted horizon if the horizon wasn't geometric.
Well, let me use what he just said there to debunk all heliocentric claims of celestial navigation. Right? I'm happy you said that, Arwen, because this is the very first thing I said to
right?
man. Yeah, it's so stupid. Listen to this, right? When a boat is at the harbour, at port, before they leave port, the navigator makes sure, if it's a boat that they've just come onto, that they measure, right, when water is calm at port, their height of their eye above the water below. That will be their dip correction, right? Their height of eye correction for the rest of that journey will always be based on that height, that distance between their eye and the water below the boat at port. That doesn't change. That is always going to be their height of eye and dip correction while they're out at sea. So if they're out at sea for whatever length of time and they're taking sextant measurements every day, right, maybe twice a day, their dip is always going to be that. So if you were on a 40-foot high boat, then your dip will always be 40 foot. Well, if your eye height, let's say, is an extra 5.5 feet, so it'd be let's say 45 feet, right? So your dip or height and height of eye will always be 45 feet off the water below. But
what about if you're wearing platforms?
Sorry?
What about if you're wearing platforms?
Well, you won't be wearing them on a boat.
I'd want to look cool.
Well, if that's what you want to do, see if you can walk around with them when the ground you're standing on is being thrown around the place. See how far you get. But if you're claiming to do the Earth as a globe and celestial navigation is done on a globe, and you're claiming that the horizon is refracted, that means every time you go and take your reading with the horizon, that from day to day the horizon is lower and higher and higher and lower, which means that when you take your 45-foot dip correction, right, you don't know whether that horizon you're looking at is in the same, is higher or lower or higher than yesterday. So when you take that correction and you think you have a right angle, all your measurements will be all wildly out, and you'll never get to where you want to go. You'll be thousands of miles away, often the time, because you're using the horizon. The horizon is supposed to be a steady location for you to be able to do height of eye and dip correction. But if you're trying to claim, if you're a heliocentrist and you're trying to claim that you're using that the dip is to the horizon, no, your dip is already determined at port. But if you're claiming the horizon is a refracted position, that means today the horizon could be higher up, and tomorrow lower down, and the day after lower again, and then higher after the day after. Which means that when you take that 45-foot, right, as your dip, then what that'll mean is that you don't know whether you have a right angle triangle then. You don't know if you have a proper zenith, you don't know if you have a perpendicular. You presume you have. But how could you have if you're using an horizon that is refracted, which is standard 7/6 and greater than 7/6, or the horizon will be never in a constant position. It'll be going up and down like a yo-yo, as opposed to in reality it moves away from you and closer to you, away from you and closer to you. But it doesn't go up and down like a yo-yo. That doesn't happen. It doesn't. It's always at a constant 0 degrees elevation.
All true.
So that's
However, all redundant in our discussion, because we don't have to argue this. We don't have to tell them that. We don't have to give them that information. If the horizon's refracted, it's not geometric. That's the end of their argument.
Yeah,
but I
it
think
is,
Craig
but
bypassed the paradox, though.
Yeah,
I mean,
well, even more slick if you can get Brian to argue back about it. I'm not trying to demean any of what Brian said, because every word of it's true. And you need to know those things and have them disseminated to you to be able to make the statement like I do in a bullshit way. All right, refracted, not geometric then. Bye-bye R value, bye-bye measurements of geometry for an Earth that's a sphere. It's all gone then. Nothing to measure in physical terms. Going to change with the weather.
Housekeeping. Let's do some housekeeping.
No, but Fight the Flat Earth's rebuttal to that is that, but no, it has to be geometric, because how else could it be refracted?
Well, we're going to do a different type of housekeeping today, because there's Christmas coming up. So, Arwin will
of course it doesn't make sense.
Arwin will
It
still
doesn't
be
make
live
sense.
over Christmas, will you not, Arwin?
Sorry?
You're still going to be live over Christmas, correct?
This weekend, yes.
Yeah, so I'm just doing a different type of housekeeping. Someone said, let's do housekeeping. I said, well, yeah, but we're going to, I'm going to unwind a little bit for Christmas, and hopefully everyone's going to enjoy the festive season, wherever you may be. Some people don't celebrate Christmas, so obviously not relevant to you. But for me it is, and yeah, I'm looking forward to Santa coming. However, Arwin will still be live, so check him out. He had a good show today, and I want you to check that out. By all means, spam this in the chat while I'm plugging you, Arwin. But, some people haven't got family around them at Christmas. I got this idea from a car channel I watch called Mighty Car Mods, and on a yearly basis they put out a show called Turbos and Temples, and they're up to Turbos and Temples number 3 now. But they put it out on Christmas purely for people who might not have anything better to do on Christmas, to put it lightly. But Arwin's got something better than their expensive trip to the Far East to film stuff about, Japanese cars, which is great. And don't get me wrong, I like their show. But Arwin's got an interactive show that you can participate on Christmas. So, there might be people of my audience that are like, yeah, actually, I don't have a wife with me over Christmas, or I don't have whatever, family around me for whatever reason. Or they might have their family around them and just not want to be around them for that particular moment. And there we go. In that case, you can just go and join Arwin's show. So check out the Flat Earth Early Bird, because he's still going to be broadcasting over Christmas. He doesn't have a day off ever, basically, unless he's too sick to do the show or he's got a technical issue. So he basically streams every day. So check him out if you want some interaction on Christmas Day. You'll find it over at Arwin's. So that was the first
Correct.
plug.
I am doing live streaming on Saturday and Sunday, but I might skip on Monday. I'm not sure yet, because I'm having Christmas dinner then, and I might be out earlier. So,
Indeed.
but yeah, I will be streaming during the first Christmas day.
Also, there's a summary show that's about to come out. So on this channel, Nathan Oakley 1980, on Christmas Day, I'll probably put it out in the evening, so I'll play one of the members-only live stream shows on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, Saturday and Sunday. But on Sunday night, when everyone's, or the majority of people in the Western world are up and enjoying Christmas, I'm going to put out a Christmas special, sort of. In other words, I've edited a video that just nicely brought together all of the themes that we've discussed over this year, you know, with various people calling us shills, the same people being the types that claim suns moving in a circle and ice walls and ether and free energy, all that kind of shit. Along with, more recently, of course, the claims that you can do nothing with an angle, and there was a few other examples that were summarised in the Flat Earth straw man that was a NASA shill taking apart their own bullshit about what flat earthers don't, or in this case, do say. So it was an opportunity to say, well, that's not us. We don't make any of those bullshit claims. Scoff down at the feast of nonsense, although I didn't use that term. And that video, like I say, will come out over Christmas. So it's called Paid NASA Shill versus Professional Flat Earth with Natural Science. Something like that. But basically, NASA Shill versus Flat Earth is the abbreviated title. And that'll come out on Christmas Day. If you're a member, you can see it now. So I have published it to the members if you do want to see it sooner. So that's an advantage. If you've got things to do on Christmas, just become a member. You can watch it straight away. But it's been taken out of chunks of the majority of yesterday's show, the live show that is, because that was a great, like I say, focus on those topics. Especially with Anthony recently saying that people like Bob Nodell were J-Triggs and trying to convince us with a distinct lack of evidence to that particular fact to prove it. And here's a person that's saying, I am a NASA shill. Watch me shill for the globe. It's like wind her up and off I go. Well, not wind her up. Give her the money, give her the memo, and off she goes. She'll parrot it off for you. But, affiliated with and paid by and employed by for a prolonged period of time, NASA. So like, here we go. There's a shill. If you want to know what a shill is, you're looking at it. That's what it is. But, moreover, that's what we were asking in the chat earlier when it was, do you want one or two? What am I going to get more enthusiastic about? And hopefully the appeal to the audience in this regard is going to be not, oh yeah, we definitely want you covering more of Simon Dan and Fight the Flat Earth and Extremesis and whoever it was, Protothad and Ruhif. Yeah, we're really keen for all of these nobodies to be covered again when you've already annihilated them multiple times to the point where they're too scared to come back. No. If it's them, in my opinion, the too scared to be coming back and actually arguing their points is the only bit that prevails. Protothad's been here, had his ass handed to him. Do you want me to play a clip of him telling us how flat Earth is? With elevation angle, the guy's been annihilated. Don't need to respond to him. He's been here, done that, been given the t-shirt. You've been annihilated. Now he wants us to deal with him from the sidelines. Piss off. Yeah, we'll deal with the big boys. Hopefully we'll get their attention.
Yeah, Protothad's diagram, where he brought in his diagram. Remember that internal angles of a right angle, solving for the right angle diagram he had, where within the diagram he had a 25-degree celestial navigation elevation angle over a horizontal plane, proving that it works perfectly over a horizontal plane. Remember his stupid diagram? It was like, I don't know why he put in the 25-degree correct celestial navigation elevation angle into that diagram, because he was trying to do a comparison about distance, how if you do 50 degrees, it doesn't work. But it was complete nonsense, because the 50-degree one he did was just him solving for the internals of a right triangle with the length of sides and all that, and the internal angles. Whereas the first angle was a 25-degree celestial navigation elevation angle, working perfectly over a flat plane, completely proving our point. It was absolutely epic.
So with that said, all I'm getting spammed in masturbators is videos from, Simon Dan and Fight the Flat Earth. Has nobody got any high-profile mainstream meat that we can get our teeth into? I mean, if we have to cover Fight the Flat Earth, I don't mind, I guess. The Hammer's posted it. Is that what we're going to cover today, really?
Well, it's it's a long anti-flat Earth video. I mean, I think that the guys did a good job, but to review the whole thing, it's like 2 hours. So,
well, I'll just use it instead as an opportunity to spam a plug. Can you pop yourself on mute, whoever that is, Eli? So this is Refracted Philosophy channel. Yep. So I'm going to share this link instead. Copy. There we go. Into the live stream chat. So what I'd suggest you do, hopefully in the meantime, someone will dig out a video for somebody a bit more juicy to cover. Not that I'm going to in any way suggest that I'm demeaning refractive philosophies going over these guys. But you know, I'm not going to say we've earned it. But I think we've earned the right to, you know, in the words I am going to say, we've earned the right to be covering people who are...
Go
on, Ted, go on.
Nathan, I put Michio Kaku. Yeah, Michio Kaku has a 2-minute one, slightly more.
Yeah,
time,
let's get him.
On why your head is old. Hang on. Why your head is older than your feet.
Right, Neil, do you remember yesterday when I was saying you're picking up what's being put down so much that you want to talk through it so no one can hear it? Yep. There we go.
We'll do our best.
Let's get him.
Okay, right, we're going to cover this. So this is Big Think. Very short video. Michio Kaku, why your head is older than your feet. I love it already. Right, let's do this.
Believe it or not, a clock on your head beats at a different rate than a clock on your foot. We can now measure...
Really? That sounds like an issue with somebody building clocks. Like they're not running the same. They're just like a technical device, like a piece of technology. So you're saying that if you've got two different clocks, they won't run exactly the same? No, he's not, is he? Because he's specifically saying, by inference, that the one higher up will run at a different rate that he'll qualify in a moment versus the one lower down, i.e. head and feet being the example. No, this is definitely going to be a reification of a time dimension by way of Einsteinian bending pseudo-Riemannian. Wish I could say that with a cold. Let's try.
Time-travelling squirrel again, isn't it?
Say again?
Maybe that time-travelling squirrel.
You've got it.
The floating squirrel. Woo.
Yeah, we're going to get some time-traveling squirrels, ladies and gentlemen. Let's have a listen.
Measure this, and it has practical importance as well. First,
you can measure this. Sorry, we can measure time. Like it's something physical, like a dimension in a pseudo-Riemannian, got it, four-space time dimension. No, definitely not. You know, time's conceptual. When you're going to describe it in this manner, you're going to reify it, aren't you, Michio Kaku? We're way ahead of you.
First of all, Einstein said that time
Called it.
Is a river.
Really? No, time's not a river. Let's just correct Michio Kaku. We're off to a bad start, ladies and gentlemen. Time is not a river. Freedom is not a water slide. These are concepts. Now, I can say freedom is like a big swamp, but it's meaningless bollocks. And that's what you're about to get from Michio Kaku. Meaningless bollocks that describes a pseudo-dimension in Einstein's geometry. And he's going to reify it by way of describing it as being a river. No, it isn't. No. Time's a concept.
How
it's
is
a
freedom
gigantic
like a...
river.
Sorry, Ari, go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask, like, sounds like an interesting metaphor. How is freedom like a swamp, Nathan? Just kidding. Let's continue the video.
All swept up in the river of time.
Swept? Again, another physical reification of a time dimension that's bending because of the uneven distribution of mass when described in this pseudo-Riemannian four-space geometry. Sweeping is something I do with a brush. Definitely not something with a time dimension when describing it as a river. No. You're getting very lost in your own stupid metaphors here, aren't you, Mr. Reify time dimensions?
And it can speed up and it slows down.
No. Time doesn't speed up. Time doesn't slow down. Merely our descriptions of it. Time, that is. And your reification of it when you take technology and describe the technology for describing time, the concept, as being somehow relatable to a river flowing in different rates. No, this is a technical issue with your clock, and you've decided that the one that's at your feet's going to go slower because of a bending fourth dimensional time dimension. No, definitely not.
For example, on the moon. Did you know?
On the moon? What a stupid notion. On a light in the sky? Nobody's ever going to be standing on a light in the sky. This is already a flawed example. The claim that they have that you're going to be buying into with your nonsense heliocentrism belief has come to you via a sky vacuum, my friend. You know, second law of thermodynamics violation sky vacuum, which the gas we all breathe would want to fill. If you could go and stand on the moon, definitely not going to be the case. So this example's already bunk within 3 words of it.
You know that time beats faster on the moon than it does on the Earth?
Time beats faster, no. Even if you could put a clock on a reified rock, aka light in the sky that you definitely can't travel to through a sky vacuum, your reification of this time by way of a clock and river by way of Einsteinian fourth dimension reification isn't going to fly with us here on Flat Earth Debate.
And we can measure this?
No, you can't.
On Jupiter, time beats...
On Jupiter, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't Jupiter in the heliocentric model claimed to be a gas giant? Not expanding into a sky vacuum, like a whole load of storms just whipping around in a sky vacuum. So you're going to be on Jupiter. No, you're not. Go on, whoever that was. No? Does someone want to add something?
Slower on Jupiter than it does on the Earth.
You can't go to Jupiter. You can't travel to a light in the sky. That would involve a second law of thermodynamics violation journey.
So time beats at different rates.
No, it doesn't. Time's a concept. The way you track it might move at different rates. You might have watches that run at different speeds. Go on. Go on, Ted.
So he's assuming everything. Yeah. He's assuming that someone on Jupiter had a chronometer and this was tested.
Even if they had a chronometer, a really, really accurate watch, what difference does it make? It's describing the concept that we have given to what we call time. It's not in any way a physical dimension or something that's trackable in terms of a difference in the technology between two watches or chronometers.
Nobody's supporting
Right. But my point is...
Go on, Ted.
Yeah, go on, Adam, because my point was going to get to... Okay, well, my point is that because they have to go with general relativity and the bending of space-time, they have to say all these things to build up to that. So I'll let Adam refine that, I think.
I'm just adding, that they're trying to add supporting evidence they don't actually have. So the only way they can do is to describe it within the heliocentric model, which you as a normie you accept because you recognize parts of that. You recognize that Jupiter's bigger. You recognize, therefore, with what he's describing. So subconsciously, unless you're challenging it like us, you'll accept that as an evidence because there's statements of truth within the model, even though we know the model's mugging us off and he's using the bits you'll nod along with within the model to support his supposition that the clock is going to work differently at different distances or with different masses and different heights, as he appears to be claiming here. But it's a kind of, it gets you to nod along by making those statements. First thing, if we go to the moon, there's a statement of fact as the way he's presenting it, as if that statement that time's gonna travel differently on the moon. That's a statement of fact. He's not questioning it. It's not a supposition. It's a statement of fact that's supporting what he's telling you.
But you can't step on the moon. It's like Neil deGrasse Tyson's equivalent was to say, if you're a cloud whipping along at 1,000 miles an hour in line with the rate of the rim velocity of the equator, then if you travel north as a cloud, you're like, what the hell are you babbling? I called him a hippie when he did this. Well, with Michio Kaku, it's no different. If you imagine you're on a light in the sky, so just to bring you back down to reality, twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. If I wonder I'm stood on you, then time travel's different. That snap you out of the nonsense he's just spun to you, because he can't give you an example of time travel or time dilation or time travelling at different rates, the things he's describing. So where does he put you? He puts you on the moon. You ladies and gentlemen of the audience, you on the moon often? No? Of course, my bad. It's Jupiter that you frequent. No, not often frequenting. You just prefer to whip around as a cloud. This is the bullshit you have to swallow as a heliocentrist. You're either a cloud or you're on a light in the sky. Yeah, you might just accept it because of the rhetoric being bullshitted into you to the point of acceptance without you realising it. But once we start pointing out that, no, twinkle, twinkle, little star, now I'm standing on you with time moving at a different rate. Stark contrast. Hopefully that wakes a few people up.
When an object moves very fast...
Go on. Go on, whoever that was. Please share the show, by the way, if you're watching live.
Time slows down inside that rocket that is moving very fast.
No, it doesn't. Time is a description we've ascribed to how things take place in our known existence. Yeah? We can give it a rate qualification in maths, but it doesn't change in terms of its physics because there aren't any physics for conventions and descriptions. They're just descriptions. Now, when they only exist in mathematical terms, you have to take it on a rocket, or on the moon, or on Jupiter, for his example to make sense. No, rockets aren't time machines, but that in a sense is what he's telling you here.
If that rocket is then placed on the moon, time beats faster. So we have two...
No. So it's not only took it from the moon to a rocket back onto the moon. No, rockets aren't time machines. The moon's not a time machine. You're not going to change the speed of time, Mr. Okaku. No.
Repeating effects. This has a direct implication with regards to your cell phone.
No, it doesn't. Has no implication. Again, it's just a piece of technology.
Your cell phone has GPS, which allows you to locate objects on the planet.
On the flat plane. The global positioning system works with Cartesian coordinates. It's working with length and breadth of the world that we experience and elevation. It's not working on a three-dimensional spherical coordinate system. GPS proves Earth's flat.
Planet Earth by focus.
No, not planet Earth. No, GPS would be proving Earth's flat, like most things. They necessitate working in the way the world works, so they work with a flat plane. GPS doesn't prove satellites and global just because it's in the title. Sticking global. It's not global, it's ground positioning, and that's flat. So no way you're getting planet from this.
Focusing in on satellites or...
Satellites orbiting? No, definitely not. If they were orbiting, we'd have to have a curved surface. We'd have to have a curved surface falling away from us at 8 inches per mile squared with a physical geometric limitation to our view at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. We've debunked all of that. You can't have things falling around in a circle around a sphere if the ground's not a curve. Because it can't be a curve, non-spherical orbital motion. Further to that, your maths for the presupposition of an orbital motion comes with an assumption of a spherical R value. All of your maths and presuppositions need that R value to assert. We've debunked it. You haven't got a geometric horizon in the pre-show discussing how non-physical it is when Craig, the Fight the Flat Earth guy we don't want to be covering, tells us how refracted it is. Right, well, non-geometric horizons aren't going to give you R values to insert into your presupposition orbital value for this satellite, Mr. Michio Kaku.
Orbiting the planet Earth. Satellites travel at 18,000 miles per hour.
Do they? No. That would require them to be in an orbital motion. The lights in the sky that you sometimes ascribe to being satellites aren't tin cans moving at 18,000 miles an hour in a sky vacuum. There isn't a sky vacuum and they're not falling around a curved surface. We've debunked every single thing that you've just presupposed.
Or if they're in low Earth orbit.
There is no low Earth orbit. No such animal exists. You can't move around a flat surface and then claim that you're falling around a spherical one. You can't map the terrain with ground positioning systems that work with a coordinate system that must be flat and then assert that things are moving around a curved spherical surface when they fall around a flat mapped terrain. No, you can't make any of these assertions.
Therefore, time slows down.
No, it doesn't.
For those low-lying satellites.
No, it doesn't. There are no satellites in orbit. Time doesn't slow down. You're not going to manipulate time. Time is merely a concept.
But if satellites go farther and farther away, Gravity gets less and less.
Gravity gets less? What, like in a quantitative measure? It's not even a force. How are you going to describe it as being less if it's not a quantitative force? No, he's bullshitting. This guy's a liar. This is an advanced bullshitter because he should know better. He should know gravity's not a force.
Less and less. So
how can it be less and less if it's not a force?
Time speeds up.
No, time isn't something that you're going to reify from being a concept into something that you can change and manipulate and speed up. Show me time. Now show me going faster.
So in outer space, we have two competing effects.
Outer space is fake. Outer space is a 10 to the minus 17 torr sky vacuum. If the sky was a vacuum, outer space, then the gas we're breathing at high pressure would fill that area of volume. We'd all be dead. Don't know.
Fast satellites slow down in time.
Fast satellites in orbit? What? Around a flat surface? No, that's not possible. Definitely not.
Very far away satellites slow.
What, in the orbit that we've debunked? No, it's all bullshit.
Speed up in time.
No, they don't. You can't speed up or slow down a concept. It's your description of how things progress in our known existence. It's not something you can manipulate. You're working outside of the convention when you describe a manipulation or it moving in terms of its speed. You can't show it me. You can't throw it faster.
And in fact, at one radius, you can calculate...
Radius? One radius of the presupposition that it's just falling around something that's mapped flat? Definitely not.
Time beats exactly at the same rate as it does on the planet Earth.
Yeah. Notice you mentioned the radius value. We've debunked that. You need Earth as a sphere with a curved surface and measuring physical geometry. You haven't got it. That radius is debunked.
So what does it mean? Your
means the Earth's flat and you're a bullshitter.
GPS system would totally fail.
If the Earth was curved, yeah, because it wouldn't plot out on the Cartesian grid system.
Without Einstein's theory of...
No, without a flat plane. Einstein didn't have a theory. Theories come after scientific validation. He had mathematics for a pseudo-four space dimension that turned time into a fourth dimension. That's not a theory.
Special and general relativity.
Nothing special about it. It's just bullshit made up dimensions that we don't experience. Time's not a dimension. It's not a fabric. You can't bend it. You can't make it go faster. It's just a description. It's just a convention that you're working outside of to turn it into a dimension that we don't experience.
This also means that the top of your head, because it is farther from the center of the Earth, beats...
Center of Earth? What makes you think we've got a center of Earth? You'd need to assert the radius value to determine that we've got a center of Earth as a sphere, as you're presupposing it. No, you haven't. That radius value came from a measurement of the geometry, claimed to be the physical edge of your sphere for boats to fall over. You claim boats fall over a physical geometric sphere edge called Earth curve, and that derives your R value that you're inserting to presuppose Earth is a sphere with orbital values that we've debunked. We've debunked your geometric edge. You don't have Earth curve to get an R value. You don't have geometry to measure. You know, ask anybody who's defending this shit. The people who are young and fruitful. Like, fight the flat Earth. He'll tell you it's refracted, mate. Changes with the bloody weather. The Earth curve, that is. You can't really call it Earth curve anymore. It's supposed to be blocking boats and buildings and stuff, but it moves with the weather, apparently. So you can't get geometry from it. You can't derive R values from it. You can't presuppose orbital values with it. So no.
At a faster rate, time beats at a faster rate than your feet.
No, it doesn't. We've debunked every aspect of this stupid nonsense, Michikaku.
So you can actually show that even within your own body now.
How did you show it? Did you show my feet moving at a faster rate through a medium specific to a reification of a dimension that's come from a description of a convention we call time? Did you show me my feet dying off quicker? No, you didn't. Total nonsense.
Our instruments are so accurate that you could show...
Instruments? So back to the actual claim proof, see, which is the technology he's actually basing this on. Clocks. Clocks aren't time.
In your own body, the fact that time beats at different rates.
No, that's a clock. Clock's a way of you actualizing the description of the convention of time. And that doesn't mean that time, if you move the hands forward 10 minutes, that you've made time move forward 10 minutes. It's just stupid. All right, that was it. Hey, chocolate.
Well, I got another short one from Neil
Come on,
deGrasse
guys.
Tyson, and it's right at the beginning of a 4-minute one.
Okay.
It's in Master D. You're gonna love this one. Very good, by the way.
Talk amongst yourselves as an ad.
That summarized was, I'm going to make a statement. Time moves different at your head and your feet. Waffle with just as much spurious nonsense for 2 minutes, and then go at the end. I hope you can now see, well, time moves different between your head and your feet. Job done.
Yeah, it didn't show that
We're
at all,
doing that.
did
We're doing that one again.
Yeah.
Who was it this time?
Your favorite, Michio Kaku.
Oh, homie. he hit you with some seat of the pants, some leaps of logic.
Yeah.
Not a big fan of the scientific method, is he?
Time travels differently on the moon to prove that my feet are traveling at a different time than my head. He supported that by stating that the moon's got a different rate of time as well. And in case I was in any doubt, he clarified it by stating that Jupiter would also have a different one.
Oh, it gets better. It gets better. If you want to verify it, Chocolate, just jump on a time machine and just travel to the moon. They call that time machine a rocket. Proof. Done. Job's a good one.
Is this why I'm late for work every day? Because my alarm clock's upstairs.
Yeah.
So if I
Gotta
just
be it.
and gone downstairs, I'm later.
You know, with the numbers, there's only 80 people watching. There's normally well over 100 people watching at this point. We're all out Christmas shopping or something. Please share the show. We're ripping a new one of Neil deGrasse Tyson and Michio Kaku. Let's move on. We've got Larry King and presumably Tyson.
Via Twitter wants to know what would happen if the Earth stopped rotating for a second.
Oh, yeah, that would be disastrous.
Oh, I love it.
Disastrous, because right now...
Dun, dun, dun! If my presupposition of Earth that's turning and develops no effect stopped, you damn well know about it then. Be scared. Be afraid. Be very, very, very afraid.
I'm so glad he started with one of my favorite nonsensical statements of the heliocentric model. If the Earth suddenly stopped, disaster everywhere, yes.
However, suddenly if it stopped spinning, it wasn't spinning, you'd feel it. But luckily it keeps spinning so we don't feel it.
You should really thank the god of the sun that we are spinning. You know, you've got a lot to be grateful for. If we stopped, you'd all be dead. Thank the sun we're spinning. Okay?
Now, here in New York, you can calculate at our latitude, we are all moving with the Earth at 800 miles an hour, due east, because Earth is rotating. If you stopped Earth and you weren't seatbelt buckled to the Earth, you would fall over and roll 800 miles an hour due east.
So be grateful that we're spinning.
I thought everything's lockstep. So why don't we? Why? Because we're going with them. We jump in the air. We stay with it. Why wouldn't we just stop with it? And I'm only talking in their claim, but what makes him say that? Why suddenly do we have reference frames again?
I don't know.
Because that's the implication, isn't it? Suddenly, we're the spinning reference frame. You have stopped, but we carry on spinning. Apparently,
it would kill everyone on Earth. People.
Yeah, you hear that? You'd all be dead. Yeah, a couple of days ago when we covered the death and sex cell. Yeah, this is that, just in case you hadn't spotted it. Quick shout out to Chris Berry, who says, what would happen if Earth started spinning? Dun, 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 we'd all be dead. There would be 1,000 miles an hour in velocity at the, area of equal elevation known as the equatorial plane. Yeah. Nah. Thank you for the super chat, Chris Berry. Really appreciate the support.
Will be flying out of windows, and that would just be a bad day on Earth. I'm just saying. now, if somehow we all slowed down, so anything not bolted to the Earth would.
Right. So everything not bolted to the Earth. What, like an aeroplane?
You see, but in their paradigm, it is bolted to the Earth. The aeroplane is. That's why it's going sideways at 800 miles an hour whilst traveling north. It is bolted to the Earth. This is my question. Why would everybody die? Why would suddenly all the magic within the heliocentric model that stops reference frames suddenly start allowing reference frames?
Right.
I think it's just a beautiful Jedi mind trick. This is one of the best. These aren't the droids you're looking for.
I'm taking it too seriously, aren't I, Chocolate?
Would slide due east 800 miles.
It's a good question, but sorry, Nathan.
That's all good.
An hour. That's what happens to you in a car if you hit a brick wall and you're not wearing a seatbelt. You keep going. That's why you get hurt in those kinds of accidents. But
Yeah, so full-on death cell. That's what it's doing. Scaring the shit out of you to make you believe it's bullshit or buy his product. This is a really common sales scam technique. Shout out to...
What would happen? What would happen to the aircrafts that are not attached to the Earth? Everyone on Earth all of a sudden would be shot forward at 800 miles per hour or wherever their relative speed is. What would happen to anything not attached? All the things that are supposedly following this ball around as it rotates and it revolves around the sun. What the hell?
That's what I'm saying. Is the plane then traveling north, but suddenly, because the Earth stopped, it's also going 800 miles an hour sideways? Is that the force they'd suddenly feel at 800 miles an hour?
Oh, now I see
sideways?
what you mean. You're saying, so for the flight that's taken off from Charlotte to LA, right, in their rebuttal for non-Coriolis, the plane's moving 800 miles an hour backwards, right? Now you're saying when the Earth stops, does that plane that was moving lockstep 800 mile an hour backwards suddenly move at its actual rate and the Earth starts, or was moving 800 miles an hour lockstep, now stopping, so you've picked up a catapult speed of 800 miles an hour because it stopped below you?
Exactly.
But we suddenly have reference frames again. Is that what I'm asking?
So one reference frame, well, that's not very scary if we would have consequences on a turning Earth, so that's preferable. Yeah, one reference frame. What about your Coriolis? Well, that would be proving spin if we had Earth turning underneath, so 2 reference frames. Okay. What about if we stop turning? 2 reference frames would kill you. That would mean we'd have spin be preferable, so 2 reference frames. Death imminent. Yeah, whatever they're like, basically.
No, that is the consequence, but it's no longer the Earth. You get me? Whereas before, we had no Coriolis because we had lockstepness with a rotating Earth. We've now got a non-rotating Earth and rotating everything else, and suddenly the rules apply. It's just total contradiction. I'm not spoiling it for,
all that matters, though, for the audience's benefit, as much as we're joking about this, I'll bring it back on track. In every example that claims to prove a turning Earth, you'll start with the assumption that you've got a turning Earth and start discussing the consequences either of the turning Earth or the lack of consequences of a turning Earth, or in this case, the consequences of a turning Earth not turning. In other words, every single scenario will be revolving around, excuse the pun, the after effects once you've assumed that we're turning. So all discussion and all debate will take place about the example that assumes we're turning. So it's like, well, will we attack A, the stupid assertion in the first instance that Earth's a turning reference frame, or B, the consequences of the assumed turning reference frames that we're all going to nod along with, but debate about what might happen to planes or people if they got thrown off it when it stopped. Like, so long as we're begging the question from the globe point of view that we're turning, it don't matter what Tyson says from here forward. He could say we'd throw off, he'd say we wouldn't notice any difference. It wouldn't matter what he said. So long as we are basing the argument on the idea that we're spinning in the first place, anything goes.
The gravity in their world should be their magic seatbelt. It should be their, proper braking system for everything, because it's the same thing that keeps everything in lockstep.
I've got to stop you. I hate to interrupt you. Gravity's not a force, but you can think of it as a seatbelt.
but this is the point I just want to make in terms of...
Before you do, Adam, I just want to shout out this super chat because it's been on screen for ages. Hold on one sec. Shout out to Sensual Goat. He says, it's a very cold, wet and windy day for Christmas. Shopping in England today. Luckily, I have my Globe Earth jumper and tinfoil hat to keep me warm. Yeah, that is the reality of it, Sensual Goat, isn't it? They paint us as being tinfoil hat-wearing nutters. But yet you've got Tyson getting you to imagine you're a cloud. You've got Mitch Yukaku imagining you're on a light in the sky and travelling in a time machine rocket. Yet we're called tinfoil hat nutters. It's just projection, isn't it? Adam.
Top that off, tinfoil hats actually work.
Adam, go ahead.
It's just to finish that point, because you're talking about not dealing with the low-hanging fruit, like the fat guys, and dealing with these guys. We just go to them with our standard rhetoric, just the standard Coriolis thing. They're going to dismiss it out of hand from a flat earther. I think if you present the argument within their paradigm, like what we did with the moon, there's more chance of getting a reply. You don't want it from like flat earth debate crew, but if it's just from an individual where you're actually questioning that contradiction within their own paradigm, that might be a route of, like Neil emails and stuff like that. Just keeping the question within their rhetoric so that there's no question. So you just look like a normie that's intrigued.
Right, Alwyn, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say tinfoil hats actually work, but it has to be tin foil, not aluminum foil, which is the standard that everybody uses now, kitchen appliances and all that. But tinfoil actually does work.
When you say
it's
actually work,
silly, but
what do you mean? Works to do what? Make you look daft, or
bake cookies?
Yeah, it'll definitely make you look daft, but it also basically provides a slight Faraday cage for the mind.
Obviously, NASA thought that tinfoil was okay to use as like the sides of the spaceship.
Oh, that's
outrageous. I'm sorry,
that was gold.
That aluminum foil?
That was gold. I just want to say on that note, like Arwin's opinions do not necessarily reflect the opinions of everyone else on Flat Earth Debate, but with that, I'll say if you're watching on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So another massive thank you to all of you. Smash the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, joined as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.